Hey gents, welcome to today's video. Today we're going to be looking at how to solve Darpa Research Labs, and this is basically the final boss. Now, many people have, suggested that this mission is out of hand and all that stuff, but I think the mission is basically about problem solving, and they put it in that sense because it's more like a puzzle than anything else. Even though the division being very fast paced and sometimes can be really slow paced, they want you to solve this puzzle in the fastest possible way that you can based on RNG, and RNG is based on enemy spawns, how they spawn, and all that. Now, you might, your team might wipe doing it, especially if you're doing heroic, but this is not something that should discourage you, because if you make your way all the way through this to the boss, then you get that checkpoint and everything. So the Darpa Research Lab boss, the fight area is actually a very small helipad compared to everywhere else you've been fighting. There's only so much distance between you and the bad guys, and there's not a lot of cover. So when you go in, there are going to be some turrets, and my recommendation will be you try as much as possible to disable those turrets as quickly as you can. So you learn the locations of the turret so that if somebody on your team is probably trying to disable them or is disabling one on one end, you're able to go to the other one on the other end, and you just focus fire them while you're also taking care of enemy NPCs. Another thing too is you want to make sure that you have a healer on your team and somebody with sufficient DPS, and also somebody with very good crowd control, especially blind. Now, the reason I say blind crowd control is because, and the reason I recommend this, you can use whatever you want, this is just my recommendation on how I was able to beat it with the team, is because the boss actually is a boss that's a sniper that has 2 major damage actions against you guys on your team. So once you come in and you convene as a team, your healer is going to make sure like everybody stays, regenerated with their health. And the way I healed when I was playing this, I played healer. I was playing DPS at first, and it got to the point where it was just obvious that we needed a healer because somebody in our team quit. They just left out of maybe frustration, or they were tired, and maybe they needed to go to work because they had mentioned that they needed to go to work after this. So probably that's what they had to do. So I used my hardwired, where I just dropped my healer hive and then pick it back up and then drop in and pick it back up. So I kept doing that over time, while on the other hand, I had my seeker mines to just scatter enemy NPCs and kind of not let them concentrate. That's all I was doing with that. I could have run also another blind, because that would have also given me the ability to refresh my blind very quickly, but somebody else was running the blinder and had a CC build as well. And the blinder is designed to help you keep the boss from calling mortars to drop on you and your teammates' location. If the boss can see, if they're not under a status effect, they'll mostly be doing that action where they're saying mortars here now in this location right now, and then mortars will be flying from only God knows where to come try to hit you and your team. So keep him blinded basically the entire time that you're clearing the mobs. You probably get 2 or 3 spawns, and then he's gonna be just over there doing that. Now, the one thing I have to say is, if you try to damage him while he comes out, make sure that you have enough DPS to be able to pull that off, and make sure you have a way to get him out of cover at the same time, because if you cannot down him fast enough, he'll heal. And when he heals, you're still going to be left with the mobs. And so you might want to take out those mobs, keep him blinded. And if he, calls for maybe 1 or 2 mortars during the time, you guys can evade. But if you don't have him blinded and you're trying to take out the mobs, he's going to continue calling for mortars consistently. And he hits very hard. He's basically almost a one-shot boss if you're not a tank. So these different things help you, to be able to control the enemy NPC count and also control the boss's attacks on your team. That's what I think the problem solving for Darpa is. Now, another reason I said problem solving is because we wiped a few times just, when I was playing it for the silly thing, the time trial, which took us an hour, which kind of, I'm like, what kind of time trial for a regular mission takes you an hour? And what I noticed was the few enemy spawns that we got were all different every time we showed up. In fact, when one of the players quit, we went back in there and we got like 4 warhounds as the very first spawn. So you have to be very, I would say you got to be really ready for it. And because they're Black Tusk, there are many recommendations that you can actually go for. You can go for somebody using, the Technician specialization, which is very good against Black Tusk ordnance chances. I would always say go DPS as high as you can get your DPS. Stay away from glass cannon though, except you maybe have like a solid team and you have maybe like a shield to be able to put out some damage every time you pop your head up. But still, it's not going to help you do a lot of sustained DPS in that sense. So I hope this was helpful in regard to pointers. I've seen some comments here and there about it, you know, even to the scale of some people probably alluding, not saying, but alluding that, you know, it needs to be nerfed or whatever. Ladies and gentlemen, everything doesn't have to be nerfed. There are ways that you can beat these things, but it just requires a lot of trial and error in some cases. But once you finally figure out what's going on, I think everything is easy. And by the way, this footage that you're watching is with a randomly matchmade team. Imagine if you just had a few other people that you maybe pick up from Discord who maybe kind of know exactly how difficult this might be, and you guys actually go in together, then this is, you know, something that you guys can, you know, work on and you can beat. Because eventually the boss will come down after you've cleared out the mobs, and you guys can focus him, keep him also under constant status effect, and then burst him down. That's usually the easier way to go about it. So I hope this was helpful for you guys. Thank you very much for your time and audience. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so, and I'll see you guys in the next video.